Satisfaction is rare these days, and we never stop to question that. Because we believe if we stay unsatisfied, we will push harder, work more, and eventually become more successful. Right? Wrong. It will only lead to burnout, and eventually you will quit and get stuck in a loop of start, try, quit. And here's where it starts. You decide to do something today, you have a plan, but then a friend visits. You spend the whole day with them, laughing, talking, just living. At the night, when you are lying on the bed, you remember, I didn't finish what I planned. And suddenly, all that time you enjoyed feels wasted. That feeling at the end of the day, when good times start to feel like wasted time, it's what happens when you measure your day by what you produced. And the moment you believe that your worth is your output, everything becomes a transaction. Rest becomes theft. You lie down, but you owe the night something. Enjoyment becomes guilt. A friend's visits become a mistake. This video is about what happens when you stop measuring that way. This video is for those who want to do something but get burned out during the process. And I promise, you will feel the change. A lot of your anxiety and frustration will go away after this video. We all want a better life. And when we see the lives of the people who seem to have it on the internet or with our very own eyes, we see cars, buildings, watches. We can't see them from inside. All we see are results. So we start chasing results. The thing is, there are people who have all those things but are still not happy. Which means something is still missing. Something that isn't visible. And here's why we keep falling for it anyway. When we are working, most of the time we don't see any progress. Results are the most visible form of success. So we assume they show our progress. They give us quick dopamine, they make us believe we are making effort. And we never question it because it satisfies our ego, the brain protecting the self-image. A boy who had no other option got a job in a supermarket. One day, a difficult customer came in. He misbehaved badly. The boy gave him a few taunts back. The customer complained. He got fired. Pretty sad, right? But on the way home, the boy says, sure, I lost the job, but at least I am not like that freak. Looks natural, but look closely. This keeps his identity above the fact that he lost his only option, and it was his own anger that cost him. If you have ever seen someone unable to accept their mistake, that's what happening. The brain distorts your memory to protect the ego. The same happens when you work and don't see any progress. So you look at the result and assume they reflect your effort. You don't feel like you are wasting time, but your belief starts to fade. You want things to change fast because now we see everything moving fast. A 19-year-old with a million subscribers. A startup valued at $1 billion before it turns a profit. Think about the first time someone told you that you were smart. That wasn't because how you thought. It was because of your marks. Since the beginning, schools, exams, report cards, class ranks. We were never rewarded for the quality of our thinking. We were rewarded for the score at the end. That conditioning doesn't disappear when school ends. It follows you into every goal you set. But results are a trait, not the real thing. It's like seeing a man who acts honest but doesn't tell the truth. It's not real honesty. Same way, seeing someone with cars and wealth doesn't mean they have what you're actually looking for. When I felt this frustration, it was awful. I decided to solve it the only way I know. Write it down. I wrote all the problem on the paper and looked at them. I burn out because I work harder when I don't see results. I feel frustrated when something doesn't go as planned. I quit because nothing seems to change. I stop working when I forget why I started. Now read them again. Look at what's hiding in every single one of them. Results. Every problem, different words, same rule. I removed results from the equation and the frustration was gone. Not controlled, gone. We had started seeing results as a reflection of our hard work. We assume results equal worth. But if results aren't the thing to chase, what are actually human built to do? The answer isn't complicated, but it requires you to think about yourself differently. Not as a producer, as someone who grows. We know what machines do. Simply, they take raw material, do definite thing, and give output. Input, process, output. But we humans are not machines. Humans operate through development and accumulation. We don't produce ourselves the way machines produce output. We grow layer by layer. Knowledge builds on knowledge. Discipline strengthens discipline. Understanding deepens with time. Machines produce linearly. Same input, same output every time. Human accumulation works differently. 1 year of discipline doesn't just make you twice as disciplined. It changes how you see problems, how you respond to pressure, how quickly you recover. It compounds in a way that have no formula. But here's the condition. Growth requires that the process stays slightly harder than you are. Repeating easy things doesn't compound. It just becomes comfortable. The accumulation only works if the process is honest. And slowly, almost invisibly, a better version of you begins to emerge. When we chase results, we are being human trying to do machine work. Machines have metrics, productivity, output per unit of time. But humans' worth cannot be calculated by such metrics. As Einstein said, not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. Things like discipline, self-control, perspective. You cannot put a number on the moment you choose to keep your word to yourself when no one is watching. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most read philosophers in the history, said it simply, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not. Results are not up to us. Process is, character is." That's not defeatism. That's clarity about where your real power lives. You are not a machine waiting to produce the right output. You are a traveler. The compass shows direction, but the compass doesn't do the travel. You do the travel. And who you become on the road decides where you are capable of arriving. You cannot shortcut the journey and expect to arrive as someone who made the journey. I'm not saying results don't matter at all. They matter as information. They tell you whether your process is working. A runner checks their time to know if the training is landing. A student checks their understanding to know if they are actually learning. Use results to adjust your direction, but don't use them to measure your worth. There's difference between results as feedback and results as fuel. The first is useful and the second will destroy you. This is where honesty matters most. Using result as information means being willing to hear what they are telling to you, even when it's uncomfortable. If your work consistently produce nothing, that's not sign to quit. It's the sign to look at your direction, not your work. The effort you put in, the discipline, the consistency, the showing up, that was never wasted. It built something in you. But if the direction wasn't right, you are allowed to change it. The process is sacred, the direction is negotiable. Identity commitment without honest feedback is not discipline. It's stubbornness with better branding. This requires that you have already chosen a direction, even a rough one. If you genuinely don't know what you want to build, that's a different problem. What I'm talking about is for the person who already knows what they want, but keeps stopping before they get there. And here's why this shift works. Not as motivation, but as actual logic. Results depend on circumstances. A bad market, a bad day, a bad decision. Results can be taken from you. But who you are, your discipline, your perspective, the way you respond to the pressure, that grows regardless of whether today work or not. And the person with those qualities built over time, in the direction of something they care about. They don't need to chase results. The results find them. Not always, not on your timeline, and sometimes not in the form you expected. But the person who has built real character, real discipline, is never empty handed. Even when the specific result didn't arrive, something else did. The capacity to start again, to go further, to be not broken by the absence of reward. The identity I am talking about is not a performance, not the version of you that exists for other people's approval. It's simpler than that. It's who you are when no one is watching. The choices you make when there is no reward for making them right. The work you do when result isn't guaranteed. That's the identity that lasts. And it's not a fixed label. It's a direction. You are not the person who never fails. You are the person who keeps going. When you compete only with yourself, and I mean the version of you from yesterday, not the version you saw online this morning, that's still someone else's process. You don't work to prove anything. You work to become better. Do things not just for results. Do them because those things are you. People don't negotiate with identity. You won't quit just because results aren't visible. You will continue because the work is making you who you are. Results will come as a byproduct. Sri Krishna told Arjuna, a warrior who had stopped, who couldn't move, who was paralyzed by the weight of the results in front of him. Do what is yours. Let go of the fruit. That's not a motivational poster. That's diagnosis. Arjuna's crisis was not a lack of skill. It was that he had made the results more real than the action. Marcus Aurelius wrote the same thing to himself. Not for the publication, just for the morning, just to remember. At some point, everyone who does something real arrives at this. It was never about the thing they were chasing. It was about who they become chasing it. Before I tell you what changes, I want to be honest about the beginning. Early on, the work won't feel rewarding. That's real. The skill isn't there. The momentum isn't there. There will be stretches where you choose the process before it gives you anything back. That's not contradiction. That's the investment phase. You are not waiting to feel motivated. You are building the condition for motivation to exist. A 2015 study by Dichotomy and Recovery found that external rewards are only short-term solutions, fragile motivational constructions. Only when the work itself becomes rewarding can motivational become self-sustaining. The work itself should be the reason you do it, and you get there by doing the work before it feels that way. And once those conditions exist, here's what actually changes. When you are working for a result you are not sure will come, every hard moment is a threat. Every obstacle is evidence that you might be wasting your time. But when the work is part of who you are becoming, nothing is wasted. The obstacle is still hard, the pain is still real, but it stops being a signal to quit. It becomes part of the journey that's shaping you. I played football. My match was the next day. But just a day before, I had an accident. I wasn't able to play. I felt bad. And a lot of people said, you worked for nothing. For a second, I almost believed them. Then I reminded myself, results don't declare the value of the process. The training didn't disappear because I didn't play. The discipline I built didn't vanish. The person I became preparing for that match, that stayed. You don't force things anymore. Not because the things get easier, but you stop needing them to be easy. Think of a runner. A runner knows that rushing things and overdoing things lead to injury. They respect the process. not because it's comfortable, but because they know the process is the point. Even if things go wrong, you couldn't finish what you have planned. You will just learn from the mistake and sleep. No frustration. If you don't betray the man you are becoming, you will sleep with ease. And I never said I will make you happy. Happiness will come and go. I just want you to give the process and the character the value they deserve. I want to say one more thing honestly. Everything that I have said applies to the work you have chosen, the thing you are trying to build for yourself. If you are working 3 jobs to keep your family fed, you don't have the luxury of detaching from your results. That work has different rules. And if you are somewhere in between, you have the goal, but you also have the real pressure and a real clock, then the shift isn't all for nothing. You can hold results as necessary targets while still refusing to let them define your worth. That's not compromise, that's maturity. I am speaking to the person who has chosen a goal, who has picked something they want to become, and is now standing at the wall of frustration wondering why it doesn't feel worth it. For that person, this is the answer. Most of the time, we are so focused on the results that we forget to live the process. But the process is where life actually happens. The small improvements, quiet discipline, days when nothing seems to change, but you keep going. Those moments may look ordinary today, but one day you will realize they were the most valuable part of the journey. A runner enjoys when he reaches the finish line, but to reach the finish line, he never stops to enjoy the run.